Hello Nightmares, and welcome back to another video. For today's video, we are a little late, but this is our 5K Q&A. So we have, I think, a couple hundred, over 5,000 subscribers now. And I believe the last time I did a Q&A like this was when I was at 1K. But now here we are, 4,000 subscribers later, with a new Q&A. So I've got our handy dandy iPad here, and I had made a community poll a few days back asking you guys to ask us some questions. So I have a few here we're going to answer. So the first one says, what is your favorite movie? I think we're going to start off easy. So that is a tricky one for me because I have so many favorite movies. But I think one that sticks out to me the most, I really like the Alien franchise. Like, all of the Alien movies I think are really cool. That is one that sticks out to me. And then of course the Hellraiser movies, because I really like the Cenobite character design. What about you?
Mine is Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, we actually are going to see that when it returns to theaters for the 20th anniversary next month. Really excited about that. I'm, as you can see in the background here on this side, we have quite a collection of Star Wars collectibles and helmets and Funko Pops and figures and things, because we are both very big Star Wars nerds. I think that was actually one thing that we first connected on, was our love for Star Wars, because he shyly told me, I love Star Wars, and I was like, I'm about to yap anyways. And I think we spent, in the beginning when we were long distance, we spent like a whole evening talking about Star Wars things. Okay, somebody asked us, what are your 5 favorite bands / musicians? And they said that they loved our videos. Ooh, okay. Well, are we going for obscure, or are we going for known, I guess, or a mixture of both? I guess I could go first. One of the first bands I ever really got into was Joy Division. I guess that was one of my first quote-unquote goth bands. I really related to Ian Curtis's, I guess, way of thinking. And then I went from Joy Division to, I guess, like, I could list off all of the stereotypical, you know, goth bands that everybody loves, but I guess if I'm going for like my favorites now, we've really been into a lot now. Like, I listen to a lot of things. I really like Light Asylum. Light Asylum is one of my favorite bands. I think Shannon Funches is just a incredible vocalist and has such a powerful voice. So much so, Jesus, I've listened to one of her albums. I think it was, they estimated I listened to this one album. I think it was like 10 hours that I listened to this one album. I really like Skinny Puppy. And of course Sextile. We really like Sextile. For a 5th one, this morning I was listening to Nation of Language when I was putting on my makeup, so that's probably another one of my favorites. But I think I could make an entire video talking about every single musician I like. What is your top 5?
Well, of course, my favorite is The Cure, of course.
Yes, we love Bobbert. Here's our guest of of Honor, Robert Smith.
And then my second one will be, I haven't really listened to him in a long time, but an Asylum Party.
I love Asylum Party.
And
you were just talking about Suspiria the other day. That was one of your favorites.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Other than that, I'm not really too sure, because I like a lot more of the newer stuff than the older stuff, yeah. Like Corrine and Male Tears and Sextile and stuff like that.
I love Corrine. I forgot to add, Corrine, I'm really excited for their new album, and the track that they just put out recently, I really like the Twist the Knife. Yeah, that one was really good.
I have a feeling it's probably going to be my favorite song on the album.
That's a pretty solid answer. Someone said, do you think you will ever start a store to sell jewelry/clothing? Also, who do you look to most for hair and makeup inspiration? Two-part question, two-part answer. So I actually have a Depop where we do plan to eventually post DIYs and jewelry that we make. And the Depop page is made, right now I'm kind of selling things from my closet in there. As, you know, like style changes and, you know, like weight fluctuations and stuff like that. But I could put a link up for my Depop. For hair and makeup inspiration, and I know it's gonna sound probably a little self-centered, I only use myself for comparison. I don't look really to others for makeup inspiration because everybody has different features. So I guess I can roughly take ideas and put my own twist on it, but I've only ever looked to myself for inspiration. But I guess if we're looking for like what introduced me to, I guess, my kind of style, as I'm certain there's probably 5,000 people in the world that look exactly the way that I do. I think it was a mix of like seeing like old 80s goth and like media, like popular media growing up, like comics and movies, stuff like that, that kind of inspired me to look the way I do, I guess. But I've always kind of tried to make it my own thing and not a direct rip-off from something I saw in a book or a movie or on social media. What about you? What was your inspiration for hair and makeup?
Hair and makeup, I don't really know either. Like, a lot of the makeup I do is basically like an inspiration of James from Male Tears.
Yeah, I like, one of the first photos I saw of Deschamps on the internet, he had this really awesome blue eyeliner, and I thought it was like so cool. And he later told me that, yeah, James, lead singer of Male Tears, was the inspiration for that, and I thought it was super cool, and I was like, that is creative. I do apologize, we live in the country, and every neighbor we have has a rooster. It's the bane of my existence. Anyways, as you can hear. What is an item of clothing that has been out of style that you would like to see return to modern use? And Stormtrooper 421 said that they like cloaks personally. Oh, I'd like to see winkle pickers come back on a grander scale. They originally were like a type of medieval shoe, and now like there's, you know, like the like modernized winkle pickers that we wear now, like the trad goth shoe. I'd like to see winkle pickers come back, but also I do think cloaks are just amazing as well, so I do agree with that, cloaks, and I'd like to see a modern revival of winkle pickers, or I'd also like to see, that's tricky. If we're talking about like jewelry as well, I'd like to see Victorian like era mourning jewelry come back, where they used to make like bracelets and like out of loved ones' braided hair and stuff like that, and they were really well crafted, so much so that like you could sometimes go on eBay and you can find Victorian mourning jewelry, and of course it's really expensive, but it's so well crafted that it stands up today, and I think that is incredible. I'd like to see things like that come back. What about you?
I mean, I like the idea of the cloaks as well.
Do you hear our cat snoring? Our cat Kevin is over here and he is just snoring like crazy.
But cloaks are pretty cool. I'm not really sure about clothes because I like to put together like my own type of thing instead of
like an era of clothing specifically kind of look. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I will take half of my outfit from vintage 80s pieces, and then I will take Victorian pieces and mash that together and just make my Franken fit, if you will. I agree with that entirely. Oh, this is a really good question. Someone said, what was the most influential goth media that inspired you before you were goth? I've actually answered this question, but I will answer it again. And it's so nice that I actually chose to wear this necklace today. So I wouldn't specifically say it is a goth media. However, it did feature one of the first goth bands I got into, which was Bauhaus. The Hunger with Susan Sarandon and David Bowie, that movie, and this is The Ankh of the Dead, that is also featured in that movie, has a special place in my heart forever. This one actually got it for me for Christmas, and it was one of my favorite necklaces I think that I own. I saw that, and it was when I was like a little kid, before I ever knew anything about the goth subculture or the music or fashion or any of that. I saw that movie and I was like, okay. That, and I know a lot of people, this is a controversial take, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, because I would say the style in this movie is more like a Y2K, like, or like, as what kids say now, like mall goth. But I guess Queen of the Damned was really influential, even though like they didn't really feature like, I guess, goth music per se, because it was more like new rock, like you know, like Korn, Slipknot kind of music, sort of. But the fashion, however, like the late 90s, early 2000s, like industrial fashion kind of gave me inspiration in when I was starting out and dressing the way that I dress now. I guess those were my two influential things. Oh, and for, I guess, movies, that's my influence there. But for music, before I ever knew that The Cure was a quote-unquote goth band, The Cure was my favorite band as a little kid. So yeah, those are my influences. What about you? What kind of inspired you to dip your toes in the spooky water?
well, like I said before, I was like more of like a kid, and then like basically like Star Wars was like one of the inspirations of like leaning towards the darker side and stuff. And I was more of like the types of kids that was just obsessed with like stuff that just a normal kid wouldn't really be into, like skeletons and stuff like that, and of course aliens and like robots and stuff like that. I was really big into stuff like that when I was a kid.
Science fiction is, science fiction really really inspired me as well. Like I said, like the Alien movies, like I thought that and like Hellraiser and like Wishmaster, stuff like that, all like very dark, macabre things.
But another thing, probably Skinny Puppy probably influenced a lot of like my like style, I guess.
That's why our cat's name is Kevin.
Yes, I'm a huge Skinny Puppy fan.
We have like, I know you can't see it, but I can describe it to you. In our corner here, we have like 2 Skinny Puppy posters.
We also have another one down there.
Yeah, there's another one that isn't up yet. And it's next to our huge Depeche Mode shrine, our 5-foot Depeche Mode poster.
And also Nick Cave.
Nick Cave, yes. Nick Cave and
well, he was like
the bad seeds.
My second inspiration of doing like Bat's Nest and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that literally, like, there's a picture, actually, you guys can't see it, but right above the camera of Nick Cave, and I look at Nick, and I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder, and I'm like, we matchy today. We have the same hair today, Mr. Cave. Here for it. We were going to see Nick in Kansas City, but we had other obligations, so a little bummed about that, but I think if we do get another Nick tour, we're making it happen. We're praying that this isn't the last Nick Cave tour. We need another. Ooh, this is a good question and a tricky question. If there was one person you can sit and have an hour conversation with, who would that be and why? Do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, I mean, you already know what mine is.
Yes, but they don't know.
So, mine would be Robert Smith of The Cure, because he is one of my role models. Because he reminded me so much of my grandmother that pretty much raised me and stuff. But he's just like a male version of her. And that's why he's like one of my role models, is because of that.
I think if I could sit down with anybody and have a conversation with them for an hour, it would be my grandmother again on my dad's side. I was immensely close with her, and she was the kindest woman I ever knew, and I think I would want that hour so that I could have her meet you, because I think she would have loved you. Someone said, when did you start dressing goth and how did you meet your partner? Oh, I got this one. I got this one. So I'm going to answer the second part of that question first and then reiterate to the first part. How I met Deshawn here. Well, hello, Kevin. You are surely... He's snoring. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's bass boosted. So, when I met Deshawn, actually, it's almost been a year. He messaged me on my birthday on April 8th last year, and there was a solar eclipse, and he was the only person that day who remembered it was my birthday and wished me a happy birthday. And that was actually one of the hardest times of my life because I was going through a really bad separation, and I had been homeless for essentially 3 months at that point before living with my family for a little bit before moving into my apartment. And he messaged me, and at first, this is gonna sound so bad, I didn't respond back that day. I think it took me like 3 weeks before I was like, thank you, like, for wishing me a happy birthday, and then he tried to message me more, and I didn't really get around to messaging back because I was just so consumed with my grief and with work, and there was just so much going on, and I felt like I couldn't, because when I have a conversation with somebody, I want to make sure that I have that time set aside where I can give them the fullest, most undivided attention. So, you know, because everybody I speak to, when I speak, like when I reply to comments, when I speak to somebody, I give that my whole attention. There's no partial attention, it is my full attention, and I didn't think he deserved anything less than my full attention when I responded to him. But he would comment on my pictures, and he would say things like, you can always reach out to me, you can always talk to me. And at that time, I was really getting into promoting events, and, well, everybody wanted me to message them. Everybody wanted to have their 5-minute conversation with me to see how far they could take things with me, and I was kind of jaded at that point because there was nothing anybody had to say that I really wanted to hear. Like, nothing caught my attention. And he messaged me, and he was very persistent, and I think that stuck out to me. I was like, this person is somebody who actually wants to know me, okay? And we started messaging, and I was like, well, let's FaceTime, which I think caught this one off guard a little bit, because the first time we FaceTimed, he was a little nervous to talk to me. And we started FaceTiming regularly, and I think a month from the time he messaged me, we made things official, like, on Facebook, and we were long distance at the time. I was living in Missouri, he's living where we live now, in Georgia. And we made things official in May, and we talked over FaceTime and stuff for a month, and then I flew down here to visit him. I spent a month with him and visited him, and it was a really good month visit, and we were so sad when I had to go back up north for a month, and I went back up north for a month, and then, like, everything just kind of in my life and the company I worked for, my job dissolved. But now I have my old job back, which is awesome. I'm back to doing work from home stuff, so I have more time to do this again, which feels like I have my life back. But my job dissolved, I lost my apartment, everything in my life was just like on fire, and Deshaun was like, well, why don't you move down here? I mean, everything's going really well, why not? And so I was like, yeah, and then I've just been here since, and now next month makes our 1-year anniversary that we've been together, and I don't think for a second I regret any choice I've made. It's about the same for you, yeah? Well, first, I don't think he believed I was coming to visit him until he actually, like, laid eyes on me at the airport, and he was like, oh wow, you're real, you're here. And I was like, yes, I am here. So when did I start dressing goth? Ooh. I think when I started, like, dipping my toes in, like, the full, I was like 12 or 13, yeah, because my mother hated it. Hated it so much. So much so, her and my aunt, like, I used to, like, do my makeup and stuff, and I, of course, wasn't always good at doing makeup, so I looked like I was wearing war paint when I was that young. But, yeah, I started doing my makeup, and they hated it so much that they like took all of my makeup and they burned it in the parking lot. That's how upset they were that I was expressing myself. And I think that inspired me to express myself more. I've always made my own clothes and done my makeup extra and just been super extra since then. So, and I'm 23 now. I turn 24 in a little less than a month. So, how about you?
I started to, once I first got into the subculture, I was like 14, and basically, I grew up with a very religious family, so it's like, once I moved away from that side of the family for a little bit, basically my dad said it's okay to be whatever you want and stuff like that, and then, so that's basically what I did. Was I just wanted to, like, get into the subculture and stuff like that, and then here I am now, 27, so.
And fabulous as ever. You're like, woman, how dare you? I'm kidding. But yeah, that roughly, yeah, I think it was like 12 or 13, I believe, that I started getting into the music and stuff. All my friends around that time were some form of alternative, but they all listened to different music, and I was like just stuck with my 80s music because that's just always what stuck out to me, was like 80s and industrial and things like that. And then I branched out from there for a bit, and then it's like a comfort for me, I guess. But yeah, I think that concludes all of the questions that were on our community poll. But that has been our 5K Q&A, and I think our next video we're planning on doing is we're going to do a just straight up vlog, and we're going to show off some cool goth stores around where we live, and I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. But as always, I hope you have a great day, a great night, a great week, and I will see you in the next one. Sweet dreams.